Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Debate Hub. I am here with GeoStreber, and we are here to do a little bit of a follow-up from a stream from a couple of months at this point ago, where we were talking about, as you can see, the 14 characteristics of fascism by Lawrence Britt, which I think we talked about, agreed with most of, but I think you had a couple of caveats. So go check that one. But we are here to do an update to see how the United States is doing since that stream. Geo, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. For the people that don't know, I just had a rather severe bike accident a couple of weeks ago, and since then I've just about recovered. So yeah, being ejected from your e-bike at 35 kilometers per hour because of hitting a Volvo, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's no
So
bueno.
yeah, but thank you very much. No, but I'm restored. So's the bike. So yeah, doing fine, I think.
Everyone is all well and good from there. Good.
Yeah, that said, I am worried about the US. Like last time, when we talked about this 3 or 4 months ago, I said that this would be going downhill rather, surprisingly quickly. And it would get much worse before it would get better.
Yes.
And well, I think we're at the point where we really need to talk about this once again.
Yeah, well, we talked about doing this earlier, but I think it's probably ended up being better that we waited because of like some of the stuff that has gone on. Because like one of the things that I believe that I had said was one of the things that was making me think that America can still probably like turn this bus around a little bit is that the state-run media and like not like the Colbert Report and the Jon Stewart's Daily Show, like all the late night hosts that do the comedy portion who are being very critical of Donald Trump are still able to do that. But we're starting to see that Jimmy Kimmel's been taken off recently, Colbert's been canceled, so we're starting to see that starting to go away, which was one of the things I was like, well, they've still got that going for them. So,
well, they did.
They did at the time.
That is no longer really the case, is it?
Nope.
There's two things we need to talk about here. First of all, it's this entire cancellation of the late night hosts. That's one entire issue.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an even bigger problem, which seems to be the defunding of PBS.
Yes.
There's two different types of state-run media.
Yep.
There's the ones that are, for all intents and purposes, independent of the politics, which you have in most Western countries to one degree or another. In Germany, there's 5 or 6 state-run channels on a federal level, and then each state kind of has their own 1 or 2. Yep. Same applies for radio.
Yep.
And those have complete freedom when it comes to, their journalism. There is a kind of ethics council, which is also independent of the politics. And the idea behind this is to have something that's completely independent of, well, first of all, of the state, but also second of all, of private interests, which is the big difference from private media.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one point. That's one type of state-run media. The other one is obviously the full-on propaganda channels, as you have in North Korea, Russia, take your pick, Iran.
Yeah.
And those are it's very clear that those are meant to talk to people to show them the politics of the state, as in the values of the politics of the state.
Yeah, it's like whatever dear leader wants people to believe is the case or not the case, and the sort of the narrative that is built around. Like, it's not like they get everything wrong about everything all the time, because no thing does that. That's just not how things work. They're going to get as much right as they can, because any good lie comes with a fraction of truth. So it's less about whether or not what they're telling you is true, and more about whether or not what they're telling you is narratively accurate.
Yeah. Well, in the US, there was this channel called PBS, which was state-funded, and if I understood it correctly, the funding is now down so much that they can't really, keep going with what they have been doing for the last decades.
Yes, it's
which is a dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's where like Reading Rainbow was, and like Sesame Street. I mean, Trump has had it out for Sesame Street since his first term, though. So I think that's something that people kind of forget. He tried to go after PBS the first time and failed, but second round 2.
Talking about Sesame Street, do you know why Kermit isn't able to count to 70?
Yeah.
Sorry, I fucked it up. Why Miss Piggy isn't able to count to 70? I wrote the joke.
Oh man.
It's because she's got a frog in her throat during 69.
Uh... but
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Muppets. I love the Muppets.
I mean, I could never really stand the Muppets. I found them boring even when I was a little kid, but still.
I think there's some Muppets that's really, really, you get two types of Muppets. You either get Muppets for like kids that you're gonna find boring, or Muppets being the greatest thing ever. So like a Muppets Christmas Carol, fantastic. A Muppets The Haunted House one, boring.
So going back to this entire fascism thing, 0.6 on the Lawrence Brit list.
Yes, number
Controlled
6.
mass media.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yes. So, I mean, it's pretty clear where this is going, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll read it out real quick for everybody so that people who aren't able to see it or whatever. Controlled mass media. Sometimes to media is directly controlled by the government, but in other cases the media is indirectly controlled by the government by government regulation or sympathetic media spokesperson and executives. Censorship, especially in wartime, is very common. And I mean, we kind of see this a little bit with like Fox News, I guess. Fox News has been kind of...
Fox News is not necessarily the issue that I see.
Yeah.
The bigger issue that I see is the influence of the FCC on other news media.
Yeah.
This recent cancellation of Kimmel. It feels like, hey, that's a very nice, broadcasting license you have there. It's a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah. It's very to me, Trump has this very consistent thing that he likes to do, or like a sort of a methodology of the way he operates, and it's like mobster. It's like everything he does seems to me to be easily likened to like a mobster from like the 20s. The 1920s, with like the bowler hats and the Tommy guns and the this is a shakedown.
I mean, you're giving him too much credit here. At least the Tommy gun mobsters had style.
They had style, they had a little bit of class. Sometimes they weren't wrong. But like a lot of things, it just seems like he's like either holding something hostage or he's like, do this for me or else. And like everything's a tu quo que. Harken back to that one.
And obviously he doesn't differentiate between the interests of the office that he's representing and the interests of himself.
Oh yeah, no, those are the same thing as far as he's concerned. Yeah.
I mean that kind of ties into the point. Which one is it? The cronyism one.
Let me see if I can find it. I think that was
it's number 13.
Right? Yeah. Rampant cryonism. And corruption, Fascist regimes almost always are governed by a group of friends and associates who appoint each other to government positions and use governmental power and authority to protect their friends from accountability. It is not uncommon in fascist regimes for national interest and even treasurers to be appointed or even outright stolen by government leaders. I mean, and we're seeing him do that with the treasurer, right? He's been trying to get rid of that treasurer. I'm waiting for him to start printing money. It's only a matter of time.
I mean, you look at the videos from his inauguration, and he's surrounded himself by all these billionaires, most of which were intertwined with the media.
Yeah.
Bezos owns a couple of newspapers now. We don't need to talk about Musk at all. That's pretty self.
Yeah, Facebook as well. There's a decent chance that Facebook's going to get outright banned in Canada in the near future, simply because of like the rules.
I mean, yeah, the EU has threatened something similar, but it's not necessarily about media rules in our case. It's more about privacy laws.
Yes.
Because both the EU and both Facebook and I think also Microsoft were asked about this, whether because in the EU there's a law that says that basically any data that you send them needs to be stored on European servers.
Yes.
They were asked whether those two companies would still forward data like this to the US government if requested.
Right.
Because in the US you have this thing called the Cloud Act,
yep.
I think, which gives the US government kind of an insight into all the data that is stored in there.
Yeah.
In the company's corresponding clouds. So which brings me to something I've been doing the last couple of months, which is, boycott everything from the US as much as possible.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot too.
The only thing I've bought in the last couple of months that came from American companies was accessories for my laptop, which is from a company called Framework.
Oh yeah.
Just look it up if you're interested. It's modular laptops. And the other one is from AMD because, it's a duopoly. I don't really have that much of a choice.
Yeah, there's no other options. Yeah, I haven't bought anything from the United States. I've blacklisted. I got rid of my Amazon wish list. I just don't buy anything from America if I can avoid it. If I didn't have to, so vMix, what we're in right now to stream outwards, is an Australian company, but vMix doesn't work except in Windows.
Australian? Are you sure?
Yeah.
It's vMix AT, right? Isn't that Austria? Not Australia?
Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure it was Australia. I'll double check it later, but like the point is it's not America, but it's not I need to run, I can't switch to Linux for it. I have to run Windows, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, hang on.
Are you going to look it up?
I now really need to know, yeah. Does it say manufacturer?
I'm pretty sure it's Australian, but maybe I'm wrong. I might be misremembering. Company is using Amazon Cloud, can't move away that easily. Yeah, it's another thing, like if you're working for a company, right? So I mean, if your company is fine with the United States having access to your company's private information, that's not really a you problem. Just don't bring that shit home.
So the internet TLD for Austria is .at. So to me it looks like it's Austrian, not Australian.
I'll double check my end, but yeah, go on.
Oh, it seems to be a bit of both. Apparently, the Australian office. So there is an Australian main office.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm not totally crazy.
Why the fuck are they using an Austrian, URL then?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's weird. That's wacky.
Whatever.
Oh well. Anyway.
Yeah, but I agree. Other than that, I've been trying to avoid American companies like the plague as well. YouTube is a bit of an exception, obviously.
Yeah.
I haven't used my Facebook in months, apart from like office stuff where I have contacts to old colleagues.
I avoid Google as much as I can now.
Amazon for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for Google. Obviously, I've switched to DuckDuckGo whenever that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Switched away from Google Maps, and I have a de-Googled Android smartphone.
Nice.
There's no contact to.
Unfortunately, the phone that I have, my phone doesn't have a SIM card in it. Like this is just like a glorified tiny tablet, basically. So it's not really gathering the same kind of information because like I don't have a phone number. But unfortunately, this is a refurbished Google phone.
Yeah, well,
Google A or something like that.
It's a Pixel.
Yeah,
if it's a Pixel, you can install Calyx OS on it, which is what I did on my Fairphone. It's pretty straightforward. You just flash the firmware on it. That said, Calyx is currently in a bit of a turmoil because one of the main developers left, so they have to re-sign all the keys, which means there's going to be a reinstallation. If you want to do that, maybe wait a bit until February, March, maybe. I don't know. They said 4 or 5 months.
Icarus is asking, can you use banking apps with a de-Googled phone?
I actually cannot. That said, I don't use banking apps at all. I didn't before.
Yeah, me either.
Whenever I need to do online banking, I just do it on my main computer.
Same.
The big issue that I have with a de-Googled phone is I also don't have access to MidID, which is kind of the two-factor authentication system for when you interact with the Danish government. Which is why instead I have this number generator keygen thingy, which just does the same job for me. That said, some people like the convenience. Especially here in a more or less cashless society, there's this thing called mobile pay, which is exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
Which is something I also don't use. So I try to use cash whenever I can. Because after all, I'm all about data privacy. I also run Linux whenever I can. This particular computer I'm currently on is the last one that runs Windows because it's a gaming rig.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I try to avoid online banking. I try to avoid basically anything where you share your data whenever possible.
Yeah. I think that we're gonna have to do a series on this channel called like surviving fascism or something. We'll have to do an episode about data security. We'll have to do an episode
That
about
one you
civil
don't.
disobedience. We'll have to do an episode about like just to help people get their ducks in a row, if you know what I mean. So that way, like proverbially before the proverbial shit hits the fan, as much as it's kind of already hitting the fan.
Honestly, I think it's kind of too late. When it comes to the US, I've already started recommending everybody who lives there to get the fuck out while they still can.
Yeah.
Because usually when you know that it's too late, it's also too late to leave.
Yeah,
So, everybody has rejected it for various reasons. You know, they have kids in the US, or they are so established there that there's no chance of leaving. But for example, a colleague of mine, he wanted to go to the US again to do another external stay at Harvard. And that was foiled, first of all, by the budget cuts over there, but second of all, he just doesn't feel safe going there anymore.
I'm shocked that FTFE, Craig is still going over this year. He's flying over.
I mean, imagine the amount of brain drain that's gonna happen, you know, when it comes to just losing a single generation of scientists in a lab. 4 years, one set of PhD students, one set of postdocs. The knowledge that is gonna get lost in those particular work groups is insane. I mean, I've left my last lab about 8 months ago to continue working in another one after I did my PhD and my postdoc. And I still get messages from old colleagues asking me how shit works, even though I, try to teach them as much as possible. Imagine that going on when you lose, 20, 30, 50% or even more of your potential, workforce coming in?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is insane. They don't realize yet what kind of damage they've done.
Yeah, no, and
it's going to be bad.
Yeah, the long-term effects are dismal, I guess. Like it's not a good outlook. It does not, even if we don't go the full route of, and I talked about this the other week when Chris was on, and we tried to not be too doomer about it, because it's like, listen, you can still like stop what you're doing right now. There's still going to be damage, and that damage is already done, but it could get worse if you don't stop right now. If you stop right now, you can still, eke your way through this, but I mean, I just don't see that happening. There's like, people are now straight up fighting with ICE. There's like the whole Charlie Kirk thing that everybody's been talking about. There's the attacks on PBS. There's what you just said about the PhDs. Like that's totally boned. Absolutely screwed.
It's not only PhDs. Did you see the news? I think it came out today, actually, either today or yesterday, where apparently the US government is going to ask for a much higher fee for H-1B visas.
Yes. Yeah.
See that one?
Yeah.
What was it? $100,000 per year?
It's crazy. It's like, it's not only like it's not feasible, it's not manageable, it's not something that makes any kind of like logistical sense. That's one of the reasons why I think people still have kind of a chance to like get out now or like protect themselves now, is because the current administration is so bad at bureaucracy. Like whatever information you already had out in the government is now definitely already like gone. Like it's been stolen. Like Elon Musk was in there, he got a hold of anything and everything and stored it somewhere and did whatever he's gonna do. So any of that information is already out. But if you want to protect your information from now on and make yourself less easy to target by the state, starting now would be a good idea at the very least, because they're so bad at bureaucracy. They are so currently disorganized and they haven't consolidated power yet that now is like it's never too late, I guess, sort of situation.
I mean, there's a couple of things regarding that H-1B thing. First of all, if you really want to have the best people available to you, which is what every country tries to do. With the population, which is 4% of the global population, you're not going to have 90% of the geniuses available to your workforce unless you actually make it easy for them to come in. You're 4% of the population. You're going to breed about 4% of the best people available. So good luck trying to exceed in science and engineering. Take your pick without actually having people come in. This is going to be an absolute nightmare. Not only in science, but a big chunk, apparently, of people who are influenced, not influenced, that's the wrong word, affected, I guess is the correct term, of this change, is going to be doctors and nurses. So, I mean, your healthcare system's already fucked up enough.
Yeah.
Good luck keeping that running.
Yeah, here's the visas, right? The HB1 visas. Donald Trump on Friday, so this was yesterday, announced it. And this article is from today. The companies would have to pay the government $100,000 in order to secure an HB1 visa for a foreign employee. This movie sent shockwaves through the U.S. tech sector.
If I understood it correctly, it's not 100,000 flat; it's 100,000 per year, which is even more insane.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a little bit more detail here. Congress, Trump is continuously trying to cast blah, blah, blah. A sudden raise in fee said the new rules will come into effect September 21st, 2025. That's tomorrow.
Wait, what? Tomorrow? Holy shit. So first of all, multiple issues with this. What do you do with the people that are already in transit?
What do you do?
Gonna get fucked over?
Remember when I said they're really bad at bureaucracy? He announced it on Friday and expected it to be implemented on a Sunday.
Yeah, so that's gonna be an absolute nightmare. Again.
This airport saw chaotic scenes as the news spread, with several people getting off from planes in the United States as soon as they got to know of the Trump's administration decision. Several Indians were on their way home for the festive season when the announcement was made. Jesus. Yeah, it's 100,000 annually.
Yeah, this is insane. I mean, most people are not even close to earning that much.
Well, yeah, and let alone like...
Good luck with doctors and nurses earning that much. It's not going to be worth for hospitals, increasing the amount of salary to get those people in. There's something that I'd like to address in the side chat.
Yeah, please.
Ika was talking about manufacturing back to the US. I mean, you can try to. Trump certainly tried to when he made that deal with Hyundai a couple of months ago. Only for somebody to call ICE on all the South Korean workers who went to that Hyundai plant to assemble it.
Yeah.
And apparently now Hyundai canceled the contract. They're not going to build that plant anymore. Why? Because they realized that just having to deal with the US in this time is just not worth the hassle. They flew everybody out, and there was no illegals there. All of those were legal workers that came in, probably with H-1B visas, at least to a certain degree. And no, they were all arrested is the wrong term.
Yeah.
Detained, I guess.
Then
checked. And South Korea organized they chartered an airplane to fly them all out.
I wonder if
there's also this
prepped the airplane ahead of time. If they were like, maybe we should be prepared.
There is one thing, and it might sound a bit conspiratorial, but this was a plant for electric cars.
Right.
So, cheap electric ones, which would be, kind of the competition for a certain billionaire who has been kind of entangled with the US government anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who you are thinking about right now.
I wonder. I mean, I think that I don't know how conspiratorial things are with the United States right now, because there are just a lot of things that are straight up conspiracies going on. That these are they are conspiring to do these things. This is not and they're telling you that they're doing it. So it's not, at what point is it still considered a conspiracy? I don't know. It's pretty bad.
How many Canadians have now died in ICE custody?
Good question. At least one, I believe.
I know about one for sure, and I might have heard about a second case, but I can't recall if he was Canadian or if he was from the EU somewhere.
Let's see. I'm just gonna search how many Canadians have died in ICE custody.
I mean, you saw the insane funding increase for ICE, which, if I remember correctly, now gives them more funding than the FBI.
Yeah. Yes, I did see that. Yeah, so far only one confirmed for sure Canadian has died. Canadian who died in ICE custody reported health issues weeks earlier, agency says. This is from CBC. The Canadian who died while in custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has several health concerns the weeks leading up to his death, according to the report. For Johnny, 49 years old, found unresponsive at a federal detention center in Miami, Florida, to the surprise of fucking nobody. On the other hand,
we all know how the Americans are treating their, people in prison and in jail.
Yeah.
So this is not surprising. They're not gonna take health concerns seriously.
No,
so at some point this is gonna happen, and this will happen to more people.
Well, there was also the one where
brings us to the next. It also brings us to the next point of
Yeah.
the fascism list, which is there's two actually. Disdain for the recognition of human rights, which I think both applies for treating a prisoner as well.
Yes.
But it also, and this is really fucking dangerous, is intertwined with the recent drone strikes in the Caribbean.
Yes.
For the people who are not familiar, under the guise of protecting the US from what they call narco-terrorism, which basically is drug smuggling, the US bombed with a drone in two independent instances what appeared to be fishing boats in the southern Caribbean in international waters with people from Venezuela, Venezuelan citizens on board. The first attack killed about a dozen. The second attack, which apparently was only revealed like 2 or 3 days ago, so far appears to have killed 3. In the second case, apparently there were survivors. And when Trump heard about this, he ordered a second strike. I'm not sure if you're familiar, if you heard that story already. I can't hear you. You are silent.
Sorry, my bad. You mean the second one from a couple of days ago?
Well, not only the second one, but the fact that the people survived it.
Yeah. No, I hadn't heard that.
Was ordered.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that people had survived.
In 1946, at the Nuremberg trials, the head of the German Navy, Karl Dönitz, was almost hanged for not offering aid and also shooting at shipwrecked, enemy soldiers, enemy mariners.
Yeah.
The only way in which he avoided being indicted, or not, well, he was indicted, found guilty, I guess, of war crimes, was because his lawyers could show that the US was doing the exact same thing.
Right.
So what Trump is now doing, because let's be honest, this attack is already outright murder.
There's a lot
admitted that those people could have been arrested. They themselves said that, but no, they wanted to send a message.
Yep.
When asked or when told that this was a war crime, J.D. Vance infamously said, "I don't care I don't give a shit what you call this.
Yeah.
We want to send a message."
Yep.
That's one thing, which is already bad enough. And Venezuela is very justified in being absolutely furious about this.
Yes.
But, then having people survive it only for them to be bombed again, that is just outright evil.
Yeah.
There's people defending this. Like, why the fuck would you defend this? Ugh. This is a very, very Nurembergable offense.
I like that. That's the name of it. Nurembergable defense.
Nurembergable. Yeah, I just came up with that word. That's mine.
Yeah, it's yours. Trademark Geo. Make sure to send Geo a penny every time you say Nurembergable defense or offense.
No, don't send a penny to me. I just spend it on spare ribs. Send it to some sort of non-profit organization. Take your pick.
Doctors Without Borders. So there's also, by the way, just because this is an interesting side note that I'm just gonna jump on real quick, and it's a similar idea but a different vein. Is Russia drone striking Poland by accident? So for anybody who doesn't know, Canada is there now. Canada sent people to be, we're just observing the situation. We're non-combatants. So Canada has military personnel in Poland because Russia. So, yay about that.
Not only the accidental sending of the drones, you heard about what happened yesterday and today. And there were flyovers of Russian MiGs, both over, I think it was Estonia.
Oh no.
And again over Poland. In Estonia, they crossed the Estonian border, not over land, but over the Baltic Sea. They flew over a tiny island.
Yep.
And in Poland, I'm not actually sure which part was overflown. I just saw that story a couple of hours ago and decided not to bother. Because it doesn't make a difference, right? NATO territory is NATO territory. The same applies for EU territory, is also EU territory. There's a very similar clause in the EU contract, which is kind of similar to NATO Article 5, which says that an attack against one is an attack against all.
Yes.
So whether it's Finnish airspace that's violated, or whether it's Estonian, Lithuanian, Latvian, Polish, Romanian and German, it doesn't matter. And I think that the response of the EU should be just to shoot those things down. I mean, what the hell?
That's what they've been doing so far, yeah.
I mean, with the drones, yes, but not with the MiGs. I mean, after all, there's people in there.
Yeah.
Right? Those are just full-on fighter planes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Jason in the chat said Canada and Poland. Isn't there something about those two war crimes never good getting them together? Yeah, I don't know if it's a good idea to get Poland and Canada to team up against Russia.
I mean, remember that you're not only teaming up Poland and Canada, but also Germany.
Yeah, because Germany's
committing war crimes.
Yeah, no, well, not just even the war crimes part. Germany is being incredibly proactive in the rearmament of the EU right now. Incredibly proactive. Like a lot of the money is coming from Germany.
Not really. I think the Polish are actually doing a way better job.
Oh, there's Poland is more gung ho than Germany is, but Germany, Canada.
They have been overrun so many times before. They want to be the last time.
Yeah, the four I would say that are the most proactive right now are Poland, Germany, France, and Canada. I think are like and like obviously Ukraine, but I mean Ukraine is invaded at the moment, so I mean fair. But they're also not. Yeah. They're also not. Not EU. They're not NATO. They got blocked by the United States.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? You know, this is the first war in the last 15 to 20 years or so where there's actually a moral justification to join on one side. Yet this is the one where the US seems to be starting to chicken out.
I don't even know if I'm surprised by that. I mean, America's history with war is not.
No, I mean, it feels to me as if they're only trying to attack somebody whenever they know that they have, superiority. It's like it's the same thing that Russia is doing. It's just bullying people.
Yeah, it's trial by fire.
Spoiler,
like,
just a little story about this. To clarify, I've been accused countless times of superficial anti-Americanism in that regard. But mine isn't superficial.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's
not great.
So yes, with America or the United States running around, basically just doing war crimes because one of the other things that they did is the National Guard went over the Canadian border and abducted a guy and brought him back over the border. The lake incident. Brought him back over the border, held him for a number of hours, and then sent him home. And I'm like, I'm sorry, when was it okay for the United States to just abduct Canadians? Excuse me?
Calling this an abduction is even an understatement, because if I remember correctly, this guy's boat was damaged and he was more or less assaulted.
Yes. Yep. It's
don't call it an abduction. Call it a kidnapping. There's another term for it: a violent kidnapping.
Yeah. And I don't know. Plus all like the wartime rhetoric. There's like a lot of wars in right wing circles right now, and in like the United States. Yeah. There's a lot of wartime rhetoric going around, like a lot, and like even people who are like. Yes. Generally usually more or less normal are like engaging in this, and that's kind of brings me to the Charlie Kirk thing. People have like been debating about whether or not Charlie Kirk's killing was a political assassination, because he's a political pundit, he's like a commentator, but he's not a politician, and we don't know if the motivation behind the killing was a political motivation. So there's sort of some up in the air about whether or not that counts. But regardless,
I'm not sure if it qualifies.
Yeah.
But that said, I'm just gonna treat it as if it qualifies.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
In this particular case, you want to de-escalate as much as possible. And the first thing to do is obviously to completely reject the notion that political violence is in any way justified. It just full on isn't. At least under these circumstances. Just this is insane what's going on in the US. And I saw people defending this, which is absolute insanity. You just don't sniper people for what they say. Just full on stop. You don't.
There's
That said, I must say this guy seems to have been an absolute piece of shit.
Oh yeah, he's bad.
Then again, you don't snipe people for being pieces of shit.
That's not how you handle the situation. Sure, yeah. I think that there's a degree of irony that I think comes with Charlie, the killing of Charlie Kirk. I'll put it this way: to me there is a normalization around political violence in one direction and not the other. There's a lot of normalization of political violence against trans people. There's a lot of normalization about political violence against, coming from Trump's sycophants, about that political violence is okay as long as it's happening to the right people, and it's outrageous if it's happening to anybody else. And
the left people. Right,
exactly. The correct, if it's happening to the correct people, then it's okay. But if it's happening against the wrong people, then it's not okay. And we get to decide who is the right people and who is the wrong people.
Exactly. And I see you've already brought up point number 3, identification of enemies and scapegoats.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll notice that the Trump administration and the political punditry around the right is utilizing the killing of Charlie Kirk to, you'll notice that the right-wing punditry all were calling for war and arrests and straight up trans people being shot in the street because they ran with the assumption that the shooter was trans. When they found out the shooter wasn't trans, it suddenly turned into thoughts and prayers and forgiveness for the shooter. This isn't what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. And it's like, well, that was a drastic shift. I think I have whiplash now. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the rhetoric that I've seen the last couple of days has been absolutely disturbing. There was talk about eradication and being not able to live with certain people.
Yep. Yeah, there's people running around calling. Yeah, there's people running around calling other people traitors because they have disagreements about ideology. But with trans people in particular, because I think this is kind of poignant to this list, is that trans people are not treated as if they are human. They are not people. So they do not get these rights. They do not get treated as if they're people. They get targeted as if they're traitors. They get targeted as if they are animals. They get targeted as if they're not human beings, which is disgusting, disturbing, and straight up un-American. So, I don't know. As a Canadian, I'm going to tell you what counts as being American or not. I don't know. It's pretty bad. It's some of the rhetoric I've heard recently is straight up out of Mein Kampf. It's wow.
I'm not sure. Have you read it? Because I haven't.
I haven't read it either. I can't read.
Then don't. Yeah, then don't. Please don't claim that it's straight out of there because that.
Well, I've read snippets. I haven't read the whole thing. What I'm talking about is that, if have you not listened to anybody? You haven't listened to much Charlie Kirk.
I have not, no.
Have you listened to, any of the right-wing political pundits recently and some of the stuff that they've been saying?
Not recently. I mean, there was a point when I was just so disgusted that I had to switch all of that off. Just fair. To keep my sanity.
Yeah, fair.
That was maybe about 7 or 8 months ago. There was this guy called Nick Fuentes.
Yes.
He was talking about the potential outlawing of abortions.
Yep.
And he said something to the effect of my body, your choice.
Your body, my choice.
Your body, my choice.
Yep.
And that men would control women's bodies. And he was very gloating about this fact. And I was just so disgusted that I had to switch it off. And after that, I didn't really bother looking back into anything like this.
Well, the Charlie Kirk shooter...
I'm very, very lucky to live in a society where, we are not as far gone that we, recognize that there's a certain amount of our population that thinks that this is in any way justifiable. And it's that thing, and I'm pretty sure you saw the thing about euthanizing homeless people yesterday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is evenly as disgusting. I mean, Kimmel was, kicked out, having his show canceled for basically just quoting Trump.
Yep.
Whereas this guy Killmeat on Fox News just full on suggested euthanizing homeless people. Well, sorry, I made the mistake here of calling or making it sound too harmless. He called it involuntary
murder,
euthanasia, which is just it's just full on murder.
Yeah, You know,
Jesus
there's
fucking Christ.
calls for killing in the street. There's calls for rounding people up. Rounding people up is already happening. Like this is propaganda straight out of like, and like they're not even hiding it. And that's the thing. At least like when Germany was doing this, they kind of tried to keep it under wraps, at least to some degree, for some of their people. They weren't running around bragging about it. Now, I guess that there's a very big difference with social media nowadays and the rate that information and how much information is available and around. Maybe it's a little bit harder to hide this kind of thing, but like, yeah, they're not even trying. They're not even trying to pretend they're not doing it. So I don't know. It's baffling to me.
I don't even know what to say to the US anymore in this regard. If you are in one of those minorities that is endangered, whether it's trans, gay, black, who knows who they're going to pick out first, try not to leave any traces. Delete your social media accounts if possible. Try not to send any data. Keep a safe browsing history. Get the hell out if you can. I mean, seriously, get the hell out if you can.
I will recommend people in America that are trying to get out of America. I'm going to send you guys to a YouTube channel that is run by a guy named Todd Maffin. And he's been gathering and building resources to make moving to Canada easier. And right now, the border, I will urge that the border is still open between the United States and Canada. We don't know how long that's going to last. But if you're an American citizen...
Not only Canada.
Yeah, if you're an American citizen, you can just go to Canada for like 3 to 6 months with basically no questions asked.
Americans also have, a lot of close forefathers is the wrong word, like ancestors, I guess is the better term.
Yep.
Who came directly from Europe, so you might qualify for one of the European citizenships.
Yep.
For example, if one of your grandparents was German, you might qualify for German citizenship.
Yeah.
You don't even need to speak the language. So if that is an option for you, try to take it.
Yeah, definitely.
That said, I would still recommend that if you move to a foreign country, first of all, make sure that you know what you're actually doing. Make sure that you get a job position over there first, if it's possible. Try to learn the language if possible. And I know that's kind of hypocritical because I've been living in Denmark for 5 years and I only just very recently started learning the language.
Yeah.
And that's language number 5, so I'm kind of done.
Yeah, to be fair, contextually, April in the chat brings up a good point. It says, if all the good people get out, what then? All the evil people have all the weapons. What good people are doing what good things with what weapons in the United States right now?
The evil people already have all the weapons.
Yeah, I don't.
It's already too late. I mean,
when the pushback doesn't have to come from the people in the United States, the pushback can come from literally the rest of the world.
I mean, you need to differentiate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the US is gonna go full dictatorship in the way that we expected from European nations in the 30s.
I agree. Yeah.
Because it's just too pluralistic for this. But kind of like an Ireland situation, 1920s Ireland situation. That is something that I see happening. That said.
But can you give us a brief of what happened in Ireland?
Yeah, so in Ireland there was century-long clashes between Catholics and Protestants.
Yep.
And the Catholics were suppressed by Protestant Brits. And the two halves of the country, Northern Ireland and the Republic, they have different proportions. And as a result of this, there was a huge gradient when it came to poverty rates.
Yeah.
And in the 1920s, this all started. The bad situation started in 1850-ish with the Irish potato famine.
Right.
When Ireland was basically a British colony, and even while that was going on, Ireland was forced to export grain, which led to I think the biggest famine in all of Europe since the medieval times, where from the population, about half of it either emigrated or died.
Right.
And that was such a big situation that in 1920, there was a start of what is basically a low-key form of civil war. And that led to the formation of the Irish Republic. And all of that boiled back over in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And there were lots of terrorist attacks, both sides. Like, really bad situation. Bombings, snipings, lots of civilians dead. And all of that finally stopped in 1998. So this is something that I would see in the US. Not a full-on war, but continued political assassinations and random violence against either politicians or against activists, or just about, people of the wrong skin color. I really don't know. I mean, after all, in Ireland, it was just, there were no like optical differences between people, not the way they behaved, the way they spoke, all of that was identical. The question was just, were you Catholic or weren't you?
Right.
Were you Protestant or weren't you? So,
Are you
a Democrat? Are you a Republican? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a scenario that I see. I don't know how this would end up. Whether that is just gonna ebb down by itself, or whether that would lead to another split of the nation. I really don't know.
Yeah,
and because this is such a weird scenario, I can only recommend to get the hell out of there. You still can.
Yeah.
If possible.
Yeah, if you can't get out, like, nobody's gonna shame you for not not leaving. It's not that kind of a situation. It's just, if you can, take whatever money you got, sell your shit, and walk across the border. Like, Canada doesn't even have to be like your end point. Go to Mexico. Like, neither of those places have to be your end point.
Sell your shit.
Yeah.
Take your shit with you if you can.
Take a backpack. There's, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I don't know what's going to happen, and I also don't know. One of the things we discussed last time was how quickly it's going to happen. I think we both said it's probably going to happen faster than you expect, but it's still going to take a while. And
dictatorships typically have tipping points that are very quick.
Yeah.
In Germany, it took about 6 weeks.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
You can look at whatever example you want. Look at Chile, that took a couple of days until everything was established. In Iraq, when Saddam took over, it took, a couple of hours, I think. I mean, you've probably seen that press conference.
Yeah. There's...
So don't expect this is a gradual thing. This might happen very, very quickly if it hasn't already.
Yeah, that's one of the things, is in retrospect.
The tipping point for me,
yeah,
that was... I remember watching live footage of January 6th on the day that happened. But by that point, I had already decided that it was already too late, because just a couple of days earlier was when that Raffensperger call leaked, where Trump called was it governor, I think, of Georgia, and asked him to find, quote unquote, a couple of thousand votes.
Yeah, I think that was Georgia.
And
yeah.
I thought that day that if this guy does not get arrested either today or the day he leaves office, then this country is broken beyond repair, and it's only gonna get worse from this point out.
Yeah,
like I was right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's the Constitution and the laws are only lines on paper unless they're actionable. And if you're not if you can't action them, and like, it doesn't matter how much power the House or the Senate have on paper, it matters how much they can action their power and utilize it. The judges don't matter if they can't take any action. The laws and courts don't matter if they can't take any action. So right now, Trump and his administration is bogged down in legal nonsense. They tried to steamroll a bunch of...
It's even worse than that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's even worse. When the Nazis took over, nothing that they did in the first couple of months was technically legal on paper. They used a loophole in the German Constitution.
Right.
And the same loophole in a smaller form exists in the US Constitution. And it's actually two. The first of all is the fact that the head of state and the head of government are the same person. In fact, Hermann Göring joked about this during the Nuremberg trials. He was asked how they came up with the role of Führer. And he said that, well, we just copied the role of the US president. Oh, yeah, that also caused laughter in the courtroom back then. And
I mean, yes.
I kind of see his point.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And the other thing is the fact that all the basic rights in the US Constitution are not immutable. They are written in this amendment, which can be cancelled. Because, there were other amendments that have been cancelled before, most famously the ones for prohibition.
Right.
In the German Constitution, which is often criticized by the Americans for being too restrictive on free speech.
Yep.
And they would have a point if they hadn't signed off on the bloody thing. In 1949, when it was written, Germany was occupied by the Americans. Well, Western Germany was occupied by the Americans, Brits, and French when the Constitution was written, right? And they all had a right to not greenlight it. Yet they did.
Well,
what's the difference there?
And if you look at current...
The German Constitution is, if you look at the German Constitution, the first 20 articles, those are the ones that contain all the basic rights.
Right.
Those are immutable, which means that nobody's allowed to touch them.
Yeah, there's no debate.
If Germany decides even if Germany decides to get a new constitution, those articles, or well, not the articles themselves, but kind of the message in there, the rights engraved in there, those would still have to be taken over to the new constitution. Otherwise, the new one is not valid.
Right.
And that was the way it was designed from 49, because the first post-war German constitution was meant to be improvised. It was meant to be replaced after eventual reunification. Yet during reunification, the country noticed that this thing is working so bloody well that there was no reason to change it. The only thing they changed was, first of all, from now on, our borders are also immutable, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And the second one, they added just a list of new states.
Yeah.
This has some very weird consequences. For example, Germany has a bunch of enclaves in Belgium, which are only separated from German mainland by like a former railway track. Why? Because after World War II, this railway track was Belgian. And
right.
The area behind it was German. And, a couple of years ago when the train line was closed, the Belgians asked, hey, do you want to have this little strip back? Germans had to say, well, nothing we can do. Our constitution says that we can't switch territories anymore. So
that's a little silly in some cases. But, if it works out for people,
it's silly,
right?
But, the border only exists on paper anyway, right? Because of Schengen, so who cares?
I think that if the United States wanted to complain about free speech and because this is a thing that the United States and people in the United States cry about a lot is free speech. But if you look at Germany, or you look at the United States is not topping the list of freedom right now. There's measurements. Germany's way up there.
Is basically outbeating. Yeah, all of Europe is basically outbeating the US in every metric that exists for this.
I think Canada is too.
That said, let me just give a quick summary as to how free speech in Germany works.
Yes, please.
There's this broad framework called the FDGO, the Freiheitlich-Demokratische Grundordnung, the Free and Democratic Basic Order. And that is a set of values that Germany decides to be immutable, which is basically freedom, democracy. Those two things are pretty much a good summary. Once you use the rights entitled therein, once you use free speech, once you use freedom of assembly, whatever, to take away those freedoms from others, that's when you can lose them. You cannot abuse them to take the rights away from others. That is the border that is drawn. And of course, this is a very much, a tightrope to walk on.
Yeah.
But so far, at least, our courts have done a pretty good job at actually balancing this. For example, maybe about a decade ago, there was this discussion whether they should ban a party, the NPD, the Nationalistic Party of Germany.
Yes.
Which are just full on neo-Nazis.
The neo-Nazi one that was backed up by Elon Musk and that.
No, that's the AfD. That's even worse.
Oh,
no, wait. This was even worse. And the decision was that, those, the courts found, yes, those are violating the German constitution. They are unconstitutional. They're saying unconstitutional things. They want to turn Germany from a constitution back into a dictatorship. But it was decided that those people are so irrelevant, they're so fringe that they have no power whatsoever, and therefore they should be allowed to say whatever they're saying. Why? Because that's the only way to make sure that you're not violating that tightrope. If they had gotten, actual political power, situation must have been or would have been different, which is the situation we're in now, because the NPD basically disappeared. Why? Because we now have a party, both in the parliaments and all the state parliaments, and I think there's also a couple of cities that now have people from that party as mayors, who actually, partially represent the same values. And of course, they're trying to deny it, but it's pretty clear. I mean, it's you have a couple of people who were seen at neo-Nazi marches and shit like this. Once you're in a neo-Nazi march and you notice that there's neo-Nazis around you, yet you still continue marching, you're a fucking Nazi, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a Nazi bar. There's a question from the chat for you, from Icarus, that's asking, what do you think will happen if Trump dies while he's in office, and will it get worse under JD Vance?
I mean, the big difference between Trump and Vance is that Vance is more competent, which is dangerous, but he's also more evil. Like, if you look at his ideology, Vance is, or he doesn't seem to be as self-centered as Trump is, because Trump, the only thing he cares about is himself.
Yeah.
People say that, he's done positive things for the US. Which ones? I mean, you try to argue that it improved the job market. No, it evidently didn't.
Definitely didn't.
The distribution of wealth became even more uneven.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Trump has done. But with Vance, I think it might actually get worse. It would be best if basically Trump just stays in office for those 4 years. But on the day before election day, he just drops dead. I'm not wishing death on the guy. I mean, I'm just saying that politically, this would be the scenario which, would be the best thing for democracy in the long run. Even though I really want this guy to actually stand in front of a court and defend the crap that he's been doing.
It would be very fun to see him get Nuremberged. I want to see Stephen Miller get Nuremberged.
Talking about Nuremberg, so for the people who don't know, I actually grew up in the outskirts of Nuremberg. The old courtroom 600 in the Justice Palace where the trials were held up, that is currently being restored to 1946 condition. The reason is that it's supposed to be integrated into the trial museum. It actually used to be used as a regular courtroom until just a couple of years ago, before they built a new building with extended facilities.
Right.
So I'm fine with people using it again for a new trial. I wouldn't mind at all. It's right there. Just go right ahead.
There's there's one thing about Vance is that he doesn't have the same mob control or cult of personality that Donald Trump has, and I think you're gonna get a lot of infighting if that were to happen.
Yeah, that is certainly true. I mean, he's way more of a politician than Trump is.
Yeah. So I don't know what that would look like. We did talk about it a little bit more with Chris the other day, so if you're interested in that, where we were kind of speculating about a lot of that, but so check that one out. But when it comes to military as well, the thing that Trump I think is struggling with right now is consolidating his power. So if he's not able to consolidate his power, I can see a lot of things at least from a military standpoint falling through.
I mean, the entire National Guard thing was already insane.
Yeah. The National Guard thing,
they talked about protecting the cities.
Yep. The National Guard
I was surprised that they didn't rename it to Protection Squadron, which is what Schutzstaffel means.
Yeah.
That would have been really, really telling. But the vocabulary already is, or the rhetoric, I guess, from their side is already there.
Yeah, oh yeah. The pulling the National Guard, the ice in the streets, doing a military occupation, trying to do a military parade, yada 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 yada. But what I'm noticing is that at this point you have people fighting with ICE and the local police not helping ICE and refusing to arrest people and things like that. So, and people refusing to indict other people on assault charges and things like that. So because there is a pushback from the citizens, both from voting and from civil disobedience and things like that, you have a situation where Trump's ability to consolidate his power is slipping away further and further and further. And as he gets more ill, I mean, you guys remember what the Trump rallies were like by the end of his campaign run, right? They were tired. They were it was not his inauguration this time was not much, did not have nearly very much fanfare whatsoever. So plus, he's just making things worse and worse and worse. So if the midterms swing the other way, Trump is definitively going to have a really hard time holding on to his power long enough to consolidate it in a way that will enable him to actually go to war with anybody. I also refuse to believe that Pete Hegseth could successfully participate in a war in any successful manner in any way, shape, or form. I don't care who they're fighting. They could fight me alone. I don't think they would win.
The thing is that I think that this struggle for power that has been going on has just been shifted during Trump's first, term in office.
Yeah.
He had a lot of people quitting on him. He did have to fire a lot of people. Why? Because people around him still had a conscience. I mean, just look at his vice president back in the day.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Mike Pence.
Fuck. Mike Pence, thank you, white hair guy.
Yeah.
He was intelligent and, honorable, quote unquote, enough to actually, validate the results of the election.
Right.
And look what happened as a result. First of all, he was sacked. Second of people were fucking out of his fucking head.
Yep.
And, here now in the second term, Trump has just surrounded himself with these cronies.
Well,
so the actual power struggle, the actual conscious issue that's going on now happens one layer further down, or multiple layers further down.
One of the things that Trump has done that a lot of people haven't noticed is the firing of legal personnel within the military, like the higher up parts of the military. It's scary. It's scary.
I mean, that literally happened the day before that drone strike on the Venezuelan truck boat.
Yep.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
There were a couple of lawyers that had been fired.
Mm-hmm. Basically, Trump wants to do something. The lawyers say, you can't do that. That's illegal. And then Trump fires them, does the thing, and the world goes, that's illegal. You can't do that.
That's just outright wrong. Imagine if it was the other way around, right? If any state on the planet would have, droned an American, or a boat with Americans on it.
Yeah.
They would be out for fucking blood.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
even if you claim, those people were drug smugglers, terrorists, whatever, call them as you wish, they would still demand extradition to the US to be tried there.
Yeah.
Yet it's perfectly justifiable the other way around because they're quote-unquote narco-terrorists.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another point. I'm not sure if it's on this list. There's another 14-point fascism list by Umberto Eco. And that one has... this one contains a point... Basically, it's about newspeak. It's about making up new terminology.
Yep.
And did you notice in the last couple of weeks how all of a sudden that word narco-terrorists ended up showing up everywhere?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, woke was like that. CRT was like that.
Never heard before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just inventing language.
They're trying to combine the war on drugs with the war on terrorism, and that's definitely not gonna happen.
Yeah, this obsession with national security, because that's their main reason for doing this, right? They're using this obsession with national security as justification to just murder whoever they want and arrest whoever they want and gulag anybody they want.
They murdered 15 people now 2,000 or 3,000 miles away from any U.S. mainland coast in international waters, after all. Right. Apparently, there was also an incident where they went into Venezuela's waters and detained a couple of people on a ship. That one I didn't see confirmed, though, so take that one with a grain of salt.
I haven't seen too much of the religion and government being intertwined any more than they already are in the United States. Have you noticed anything about that?
I'm not sure how much further it can go. I really don't know how much further that could go at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty much... they're already pretty interconnected and haven't managed to properly, unstick themselves. But, I don't see anything, terribly new, I guess, in the last few months.
Yeah. Did you see what happened at the Gigafactory in Berlin?
No.
Again? The Tesla factory? So, a couple of months ago, the location heads, whatever, the high-ranking people at Tesla in that factory, and they were starting to doubt the validity of doctor slips for sick people, and they urged the workers to allow the doctors to talk about their sicknesses. There's this duty of doctors not to talk about this with externals. Kind of like with lawyers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the legal term for it is.
It'd be
Tesla wanted that cancelled.
So they wanted to cancel people's, health privacy?
Yeah, more or less, yes.
Oh. And how did that go?
Not only the health health privacy. I mean, obviously they're getting sued into oblivion, hopefully, but they used it as an excuse not to pay out salaries.
Oh, because of course they are.
Yeah. So talking about protecting corporate power.
Yeah, it's
Not only
March.
are they doing it to their own, they're also trying to do it on an international
Of
scale,
last year.
which is kind of fucked up.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's a few incidents. I'm just on the Wikipedia taking a look at it here. Let me just adjust this so people can see it a little better. And it's just kind of giving me like a rough outline of some of the incidents. And there's 2020 besides the fire, which I mean Teslas kind of tend to explode at random. There's the March 2024, the plant was forced to halt production after an electric substation was set alight in a suspected arson attack. The incident was later claimed to have been caused by the Volcano Group, a left-wing extremist group operating in Germany. And then there was protesters in February.
Yeah, I mean, those are just protests. Go down to the labor relations part.
Yeah.
Go to the 2025 one. If there's one.
There is not a 2025 one. There's.
Okay, usually I would now ask you to switch to the German Wikipedia article, but that won't work this time around.
2023 Minister of Health. The union, blah, 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 blah. Tesla employees have complained about poor working conditions. The workers criticized the workload as extreme due to short cycle times, lack of personnel, and excessive production targets. Employees also pointed to serious deficiencies in health protections, which led to sickness rates of up to around 30% and a higher number of workers' incidents. When the union put up stickers,
I read last year that apparently this factory has the highest amount of amputations per work time in all of the car factories in all of Europe.
Oh my god.
That might have changed since then. It's like squeezed off fingers and shit. But yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the incident that you're referring to, and it's like a little bit tricky to find.
Hang on, let's see if I can find it.
2025.
Probably only gonna find German articles, actually. Oh yeah, yes. People, as in Tesla representative, also went to people's homes to check if they were really sick.
Oh my god! What? Are you serious?
Yes. I can send you the article. It's in German, but you can have it translated if you want.
Yeah. Send that to me. Hey, get out of my way. Move! Alright, there's it kind of auto-translated, so, take this with a grain of salt. Lost its way to success and is currently maneuvering deeper and deeper into the swamp of bad headlines. Yeah, that sounds like Musk to me. Get out of here. So when was this? This was
March or April.
April. January, February, March. Yeah, this article's from March 28th. Jesus. Tesla employees seem to have to reveal information about their illnesses. An expert reveals that this is allowed in certain situations. Tesla withholds salary from sick employees.
It's very, very limited. And they try to exceed that.
Yeah, they're just abusing it, right? They're just shoving the bottom line.
When you work at a car factory in Germany, whether it be Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, whatever, take your pick, you are expected as a worker to get some perks there. Like, for example, most of the bigger car plants have their own kindergartens where you can bring your kids. It's free for you as an employee. Done deal. With Tesla, you get none of that shit.
Pays its employees unannounced home visits in the event of illness, and apparently considers this to be completely justified. The head of the Tesla plant, Andre, now committed to the approach of the pioneer of electric cars. Many companies do that, he explained, pointing out that this practice is intended to appeal to the work ethic of the workforce.
That is a very nice job you have there. It would be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah. It's all of it is just bullying at like the most basic level. Tesla factory, let me guess, it caught fire? Yeah, a couple of times, actually. This is like the big
This one I'm not
gigafactory.
sure if ever did.
But, like, that's...
I'm not sure if this one actually ever
Sorry.
caught any fire. I'm not familiar with any cases.
Oh, no, the gigafactory is, like, caught fire a couple of times. It's one of the first things that comes up in the Wikipedia article, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's been on fire.
I mean, it's also important to notice that this is in a notoriously water-poor area of the country.
Oh,
even
boy.
though it is technically a...
2022 fire broke out.
The reason why it is there is because there's this forest ring around Berlin, the southern and the southeastern edges of the city. Why is there a forest? Well, because all of that area is very heavily contaminated with World War II ammunition. Imagine you're a bomber pilot and you can't see the city, you can't see your target properly. You don't have any, you don't have enough fuel to get home if you're carrying around all of those bombs.
Yeah. And
you're not allowed to land with the bombs anyway, so you just drop them there. That's where a shit ton of them ended up. Nuremberg has a similar problem. And so what they did there, they put these kind of tree plantations there. I wouldn't really call them forests because those things, you let them grow for 20 years while they're about 15, maybe 20 centimeters in diameter, basically big Christmas trees.
Yeah.
And then they get harvested, turned into, shreds and then into IKEA furniture, presumably. So it's ecologically pretty worthless over there. But because, small trees, if it's like really dry in the summer, which we had the last couple of years, and this is the area in Germany where we have the most forest fires. So messing with the water supply, which is also something that the Gigafactory did, is something that is absolutely unacceptable under any circumstances.
So if we were to just breeze through this list really quick, do you think we'd be able to have think of a singular incident for each thing that has happened since our last stream? Because the only, I guess, disregarding the religious one, because we don't really, we were like, there hasn't been much of a change there.
Powerful and continuing nationalism. Yeah, I think we can. Yeah. This is a very kind of generalized thing, but it's definitely there.
Yeah.
Distinct for the recognition of human rights. Yeah, bombing people in international waters. Scapegoats. Yeah, so trans people, gays, whatever. Since the Kirk shooting, supremacy of the military is also again the entire. Caribbean thing, rampant sexism. Not sure if I can point one out, like a particular incident there.
Well, I mean, sexism is, I would just probably say that the rampant sexism in the United States has continued. It is, it is, maybe the escalation is a little bit, but it's mostly just an ongoing, same with the stuff, the anti-trans stuff. It's maybe escalating, but it is kind of stuff that's been there, done that. We're still going.
Controlled mass media. Yep. You saw that J.D. Vance actually took over an episode of Charlie Kirk's show after he had been shot.
Oh no, did he?
Oh, he did. He streamed it directly from the White House.
Oh.
National security, again, Venezuela thing. Rich and government intertwined. We accepted this one from the list. Corporate power is protected.
Gee.
Labor power is suppressed. Yeah, same applies. Disdain for intellectuals. How much have they started scapegoating, universities now? First of all, for Kirk being assassinated, but for everything.
Yep. There's so many lawsuits right now with about Harvard is fighting with the Trump administration, and there's a lot of that going on.
Obsession with crime and punishment. How many people have already called for not only the assassin being, death penalty, which might be justifiable according to the law, I'm not sure, but also everybody who was in conversation with him?
Yeah.
Did you see that? That people called for the entire, Discord area that he was affiliated with to be incarcerated?
Yep. There's also I've seen a lot of aggressive language about trans people are now enemies of the states and traitors to their country and stuff like that.
I tried to avoid talking about this one, but you know what Steve said about this one, Steve McCrane?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He was talking to Planner Walk a couple of days ago. Did you see that discussion?
No, I didn't watch the discussion, but I was talking to Planner Walk on Thursday.
It was on Twitter. It was on Twitter.
Oh, then I probably did see it because I was just talking to Planner Walk on Thursday about this.
There was one. Steve said something to the effect of, "Your violent ideology and you will be eliminated."
Yes.
Or, sorry, eliminated is the wrong word. Eradicated, I think he said.
He also used the word, the phrase, "there will be no quarter," if I remember correctly. Which is like a military term, like we take no prisoners, yada yada yada, no survivors type things. Here it is. Let me open it up so you guys can see it, because I think it's relevant. Like, when you've got people who are otherwise, like, relatively normal, and, like, this is normal conversation. This is what I mean by normalized political violence. I don't think the shooting is being treated as normalized, but I do think this kind of conversation, like, the way this is being discussed is...
Hang on, let me find a quote here. The liberal left has ideologies which are fundamentally incompatible with normal people in civilized society. There's no peace with them. There's no quarter with them. There's no coexistence with them. We need to destroy liberal ideology completely.
Yeah.
How is that not a call for violence?
Yeah.
There's no peace with them.
Yeah, that is absolutely a call for violence. This one here is, I don't care. This is what, in response to something Plainer Walk had said. I don't care seriously.
The left cannot be hated enough. Every one of them is evil. Every one of them is corrupt. Every one of them are sociopaths or psychopaths. Every one of them promote violence. Every one of them are part of a conspiracy to commit assassination. Arrest them fucking all. End quote.
Yep. There's this one here on screen. It says, this was in response to Plainer Walk. It says, I don't care. Seriously, I do not care any longer to discuss anything with those who advocate insane ideologies. Those days are over. We are at war, and there is no quarter nor peace until every harmful ideology is completely eradicated from our society. Like that,
I don't know what to say about this anymore. Like, this is the exact type of rhetoric that is bringing everybody into this giant mess. This is not de-escalating. This is not justifiable.
Yeah, well, besides like a call for violence, besides this is the type of stuff that in normal America would get you arrested for inciting violence.
Yeah.
I mean, if America was being normal for like 10 minutes, this is yeah. Like, this kind of stuff would get you arrested in Canada. This kind of stuff would make you a
in Germany as well, I think so. Yeah,
would get you. There was a Canadian version of Nick Fuentes. I don't know if you guys know about that. I talked about it years ago, and it's still on my regular channel if you wanted to check it out. I went over kind of what happened, and it was like a Discord where they were discussing like terroristic activity and hateful messaging and bigotry and yada 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 yada. They were arrested and deemed terrorists, and they don't exist anymore because we were like, no, this is illegal. And recently, Canada is, looks like Canada is going to make things like the swastika and Nazi iconography considered hate speech now. Because we didn't have that.
That is very justifiable to do that, yeah.
Yeah, so that looks like that's going through. I believe that started... let me look, actually. Sorry, I'll check. Go on.
Do you know what German neo-Nazis do whenever they try to march? They have these swastika tattoos and SS tattoos and all of this shit.
No.
Because they have to legally cover it.
Oh.
They just walk around with giant band-aids.
No. Yeah.
They cannot show these symbols in public because, that
right.
is a form of anti-democratic behavior.
Yep.
So they just cover them up with band-aids and pretend that everything is okay.
Wow. Yeah, government to table bill Friday, so this was this past Friday, so a couple days ago, or yesterday, criminalizing the use of certain symbols to promote hate. Bill will target symbols related to recognized terror groups. So this is Sean Fraser, by the way. This dude is hilarious, and if you ever are watching Canadian Parliament, make sure you watch the parts that have this guy in them. I love this man. He's wonderful. Liberal government is introducing new legislation on Friday to make it a crime to intentionally promote hatred against identifiable groups in public using certain hate or terrorism-related symbols like swastikas. If passed, it would, for example, make it a crime for people to promote hatred against Jewish people using Hamas flags or swastikas signs outside of a synagogue. The new bill is part of a government promise to address a rise in hate incidents in Canada, including anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. The government is facing criticism from conservatives. Yeah, but who cares? Of course they are. to the surprise of nobody. So, I mean, I'm fine with this. I think this is okay, in my opinion.
Yeah, so am I. Again, it's also like this kind of tightrope situation. You don't want to have this to be, too expanded.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too big.
This law is very similar to what we have in Germany, and I think it makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think like it's where you walk that line, and Canada definitely walks that line where it's like, listen, your personal freedoms matter, but also the collective safety and freedoms of everyone else in the country. Your freedoms don't get to trample on other people's freedoms, so you don't get to do.
You remember what I said earlier about the German Constitution?
Yeah, exactly.
But if you use your rights to take away the rights of others, then you may lose them. And this is the exact type of situation where that might apply.
Yeah, exactly. It is a tightrope, and you do have to be careful. But that's why these types of bills are written like incredibly specifically, and they're like, you have to, when you bring something to the Supreme Court in Canada, you have to, like, it has to be like identifiable, and like the Supreme Court has to be able to label exactly what it is that's going on. This is why you have multiple branches of government, right? Like, But this stuff is just getting so extreme. I'm kind of glad that Canada's doing something to try to nip it in the butt at least a little bit. It's a little bit late, but hey, I'll take it.
Oh, it's way too late.
It would have been nice to have this law like 20 years ago. But, I
mean, it all started going downhill when, I think it was under Reagan, the media was no longer mandated to actually report the truth.
Yeah.
Where this differentiation between opinion pieces and fact pieces was weakened.
Yeah.
In Germany, on the public broadcasting, as in the state-run ones, there needs to be a clear differentiation between opinion shows and news shows.
Yeah.
Which does not exist in the US.
Yeah, no, as soon as Fox News didn't get sued for calling itself Fox News, then the media in the United States seems to have, for a very long time, not been able to identify what is news and what is just entertainment or gossip or just, talking about whatever. Like, that's like, there's so many things that is presented as news in the American media that is just, that's not news. That's just like a random factoid about a thing. It's not.
Have you ever seen how a German news show looks like?
No, I've never actually watched any German news.
Okay, so.
Is it boring? I hope it's boring.
Yeah, so the absolute cornerstone of German news shows is something called Tagesschau, which translates to the daily show or the daily broadcast.
Yep.
And it's run every day, well, multiple times a day, but the main show is at 8 p.m., from 8 p.m. to 8:15. By the way, that's why most movies in Germany, most night TV starts at 8:15, so that people can watch Tagesschau before.
Right.
And it is run by the public broadcasters, the ARD, which is a General Broadcasting Association of Germany. I'm not sure how to translate it, ARD.
Right.
And it is extremely boring, but that's kind of the purpose, right? They read the facts and then that's it.
It's supposed to be boring. News is supposed to be boring. Then the 12-hour or the 24-hour news cycle and having news media be capitalist and for profit was like to me, in my opinion, is a major downfall of any society. Like, that's a big problem, a really big problem. But alas, we have been live for over an hour, so we should probably look to wrap up soon. Do you want to do the last couple of these?
Yes, I think so.
Disdain for the arts, obsession with crime and punishment, that's ICE. Cronyism, we already talked about.
The arts and intellectuals in general, obviously. I mean, that starts with journalism. It starts with defunding in what's it called, universities.
Well, even PBS.
Crime and punishment, we've already talked about. Yeah, PBS as well.
Yeah.
Fraudulent elections, that is kind of hard to tell, just because we didn't have any elections in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about the gerrymandering stuff that's been going on. So, like, Texas
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I probably
forgot about that one. Yes.
There's so much shit that's so easy to forget. Right? There's so much shit. Oh my god, unbelievable.
They are going to try to maybe overturn the midterm elections in case those are heavily blue leading. That is a very likely scenario that I see coming.
Yeah.
How it's going to look like in 2028 for the next presidential election, I have no fucking clue.
I don't know.
That said, I do have a pretty good track record. I predicted that Biden would be president. I predicted that Trump would doubt the legitimacy of this one.
Yeah.
I predict as well that Trump would win. Mm-hmm. Ironically, that was on Steve's channel when we
yes.
The election during election night.
Yeah, I remember seeing you there and being like, "Oh no, Geo, no."
Okay, guilty as charged, I guess.
Yeah.
So back then he seemed still relatively normal.
Well, do you
Steve, not Trump.
Do you do you think all right, the 2028 election coming up, you think that there will be an election though? Yeah.
Yes, I think there will be.
You don't think he's gonna?
That's it. I'm not sure
him?
How legitimate it is going to be.
I'm kind of half suspecting if Trump lives that long, I'm kind of half suspecting him to try to pull like wartime and being like, we can't hold an election because we're at war right now. I don't know if he'll be successful. But
fun fact about 1930s Germany: the last fair elections before the Nazis completely took over.
Yep.
The Nazi Party only got 38% of the vote.
Oh.
So it was not even an absolute majority. There was one afterwards where they scored like 45, but by that point, democracy had already started eroding.
Yeah.
So I'm not counting that one. You can look it up. There's a very good table. Hang on.
I guess the thing to note about that and
it was 1932.
To look for is that the eroding of democracy does not necessarily mean that you don't have an election. An election is not the only thing that defines whether or not you are actually in a democracy anymore.
Yeah, so there's the one from November 6, 1932, Nazi Party 37.3%. Mm-hmm. Which was less, by the way, than before. Is that possible?
I mean, Trump's approval rating is
the next one, 5th of March 1933, they lost even more to 33%.
Yeah. Again, like that. Only matter if they're actual.
Wait, stop. I read the wrong table. Hang on a second.
Sorry.
They got 33% in November, and in March they got 43. But yeah, by that point, democracy had already eroded. So it's even worse than I thought it was. Only 33% in November 32.
In
July they got 38.
I want people to stay in America so that way when the United States tries to invade Canada, we have people who are going to defect and fight from inside the United States.
I mean, I live in Denmark, right? You can have no idea how much my colleagues and friends are pissed off about the entire Greenland thing.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Mikey. Yeah, no, this whole annexing other countries things is like, I don't foresee the United States being in a very good place to be able to go to physical war with anybody, especially on their own turf, on their own territory anytime soon. But that doesn't mean they won't try.
I have no idea.
That doesn't mean they won't try.
In this particular case, it's best just to assume that they will. And
yes.
Precautions in case.
Absolutely.
Same applies for NATO. I'm not sure how much the US can be trusted as a NATO partner anymore, considering the entire Russia and Trump and Putin thing.
Yeah, nobody's sending the United States information right now.
It might be considering, maybe having Canada more integrated with the EU as a response to this.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily full EU membership, but, Schengen area?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole...
Schengen shows Norway.
Yeah. I mean, I've also
Switzerland as well.
The Nordic countries are getting pissed and wanting to participate more than I think they have historically when it comes to wars.
I think it was the Finnish defense minister a couple of months ago made a very nice remark. So, Russia has threatened annexation or, war again because Finland was in the process back then of joining NATO.
Yeah.
And this guy said, well, there's already loads of Russian soldiers in Finland. They're about 2 meters deep in the soil in Karelia.
Oof! Ooh!
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Somebody is not pulling any punches. There's been some...
Considering how full of snow Finland is, I was still surprised how much they can burn.
Do. All right, we should get out of here. Gio, do you got any last things about this that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just want to repeat my warning to everybody in the US. Get the hell out while you still can. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't assume that this is going to get better, because it might be in the long term, but not in the short and the medium term. You're going to have a couple of very hard years in front of you. Maybe a decade, maybe two. I don't know. That said, my trust in the US is completely gone.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with anything American. I'm not going to go there during Trump's term, and I'm not going to go there ever unless something seriously changes. Yeah. I had the offer to go to the US last year as for a conference. I rejected it, and I obviously would do the same. And this wasn't even down in the south somewhere. It would have been in Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
But no, and I think your reputation is so damaged that even in a couple of decades, people are gonna make fun of the way the US is right now. I mean, even after 80 years after the war, the World War II has ended, people are still making Nazi jokes.
Yeah.
This is your future.
Yeah.
This is what you did to yourself. So
yeah.
Yeah, to all the Americans that are obviously, guilty of this, and which seems to be about half of them, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
You have nobody else to blame apart from yourselves. So that's my 2 cents. You can keep the rest.
Keep the change.
I guess I'm out.
Yeah, I would, if you're in the United States and you don't believe you can get it, right now you're still able to get a passport. So if you can afford to get a passport, get one. Even if you don't plan on using it, or even if you don't plan on using it right away, if you can get a passport, get a passport. If you're one of those people who's like, I can't leave, or I refuse to leave for whatever reason, consider getting yourself like a good set of camping gear. Might be a good idea. Invest in a little bit of that. Might be, get your car paid off.
No, I think that's overstating it. If you are in the US and you can't leave, don't leave any traces. In, delete all your social media stuff, switch to an operating system that doesn't track you, leave Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Twitter, Reddit, whatever. Basically, just try to stay as anonymous as possible.
Yep. Get yourself a good VPN.
I mean, who knows what the Republicans are going to consider illegal in the future if you buy it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So if you buy a Palestine flag or whatever, it doesn't make you a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't make you an Antifa terrorist. Take your pick. Be careful about all of this. Stay anonymous. Pay in cash whenever you can.
Yeah. Careful about banking. There's a lot of banking in America that's actually Canadian owned. So that's a thing to keep in mind. So, depending on what happens, that money may or may not end up being accessible in the near future. So, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things.
Actually going to bring a good point. If you want to leave the US, make sure that you get an international driving license first. If you want to stay somewhere else, whether it's in Canada or in Mexico, I think they take the US one. But in some other places, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, I'm not sure what the local laws are, so it's best to get an international one instead.
Yeah, if you can.
That is accepted to a certain time frame.
Yep.
Here in the EU, I still have the German one. At some point, I have to switch it for the Danish one, but that is not very soon.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of going to the municipality and getting the new document.
Getting it done, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Be safe out there. We'll see if we can get some updated information about how to kind of deal with this. I'll see if I can set up with some people who are more professional about surviving in different situations. Thank you so much, Geo. I really appreciate you coming and talking to me about this.
I think we should have another chat. We should have another chat about this in a couple of months again, maybe around Christmas.
Yeah,
a bit later.
Yeah, I think so.
Just to see how much it got worse in the meantime.
We should also definitely do one after the midterms.
I mean, that is
next
more than
year.
A year from now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm planning ahead, all right? Listen, you're not allowed to leave anymore. You live here now.
And I don't. It's very nice not to.
Hey! All right, thank you so much, Geo. I really appreciate you being here. Links to Geo stuff is in the description down below. Go and check him out and whatever he's working on. And we will see you next Saturday. Did you say bye?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, my channel is not that very active recently. The reason is just simply that, life happens.
Yeah.
And, I did my PhD over the last couple of years, and now I'm a full-time research scientist. So, yeah, it's a bit more stressy than
He's busy, but hey, the link's there anyway. So if you want to look at his older stuff or any new stuff, check it out. Thank you so much, everybody. We're gonna get out of here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.